Hey guys, movie fan here. Well, I said I would talk about The Simpsons and why I think it needs to come to a close. So here I am. But there's a few things I want to do first. For instance, one, I want to acknowledge Max Power for saying hello because he said that about a half hour ahead of time. So I wasn't online yet. So sorry I missed you, Max. But yeah. On top of that, I want to personally thank my good friends Bonnie from Joy Unicycle and Professor Dreamer for inspiring this. Because you see, it was them who actually did kick it off for me. Because Professor Dreamer, he asked if I could do a rant about a certain episode that came up probably fairly recently, talking about gender swapping. And well, I hadn't seen The Simpsons since Treehouse of Horror 13. So, yeah, I'm afraid I couldn't cover that, but it did get me riled up to enough to want to talk about this. At the same time, Bonnie talked about, well, some recent developments. But before I get there, I want to say hi to Shamar. Good to see you, buddy. But anyway, recent developments are that they've announced that they're just going to keep going until the main cast dies off. Wow. I've never heard of a show ever trying anything like this before. And let's hope this doesn't become a thing because, there are so many shows that are really nothing without those certain cast members. And let's get real, we know it's true. I mean, we all know with The Simpsons, it's really actors like Dan Castellaneta and, of course, Hank Azaria, who definitely made those shows. They've made it what it is, or was for that matter, because their voices are very iconic. They're legendary. But I'm sorry, to try to keep a show going just because they're still around, yeah, that's not going to work. I'm sorry, that's not a way to run anything. Look, before I really get into this, I want to say that growing up, I was a fan of The Simpsons too. I I grew up with it, and that's the truth. I'm a '90s kid, so of course I grew up with the original show when it was in its heyday. Now, granted, I didn't see it back in the late '80s when they kicked off with those little shorts, but I did see it when it was on Fox, and that was when it was really in its heyday back in the sorry, back in the '90s. That's when it was really golden. And it was pretty much the first series that, for me, I was able to kind of sneak in every now and again because my folks, well, they had a few issues with some of the things that would happen on the show, such as certain words coming up because, well, the show did say stuff like damn it and hell and things like that. And of course, at that time, my parents didn't want me to be exposed to that yet. So it was one of those kind of first time things where I watched it kind of out of defiance, you know what I mean? But, I liked the show and, it had its great points. I mean, the Treehouse of Horrors was always my favorite bit, especially the shinning. That one is too legendary to forget. And for all the right reasons. I mean, heck, it made The Shining actually kind of look like a joke in a way. No offense to Jack Nicholson and, but let's get real. The Shining, it will probably always be legendary for what they did. Whereas for The Shining, it was not true to the book. It has great cultural standing, and, the movie is scary. There's no denying that. But, yeah, it just doesn't have what the book had, and that's the truth. I'm sorry. But anyway, getting past that, well, with The Simpsons, to me, it pretty much started to come down to, well, nothing by about season 10. I know everybody always says that season 9 was when it started to decline, and it probably was. Because, well, at that time, the quality started to slip in their writing. That's the big thing. On top of that, the stories, they started to get boring, and the episodes were not fun anymore. On top of, and, My friend Joshua Oro, the Mustang Prince, said it best. The show is literally a hollowed out shell. And that's the truth. Because, when they were back in their heyday, they were hilarious. They were funny. Their parody moments were excellent. They were legendary, in fact. But now, they're just kind of going through the motions, and that's the truth. I mean, look at what's been happening lately. Ever since they moved to Disney, and I haven't exactly been watching this stuff. No, what am I saying? I haven't been watching it at all. I'm not going to lie to you guys, but I've talked to a lot of people about this over the years, and I've kept in touch with what's been going on just by reading, because everybody's been ranting about it like crazy, and I found out that they're rehashing old material. That's not a way to do a comedy. You can't just rehash old material and expect it to work, especially now. It doesn't work like that. You got to be original. You got to be fresh. You got to keep going. You can't just revamp old stuff. And that's the truth. That's what makes stuff just go from good to bad in no time flat. And to make matters worse, like I said, they used to have some good parodies and so on, especially the Treehouse of Horrors. But when I saw Treehouse of Horror season 13, I was not impressed with it at all, because clearly they have gotten past what made it great. I mean, they covered all the best horror films, and then they were just getting desperate. Well, sure, they did a pretty good episode with the Great Pumpkin gag, but that's about it, because, well, it kind of falls under the whole thing of, what if the Great Pumpkin actually showed up, But, yeah, it was pretty bad what they did after that. I mean, I'm sorry, it just does not have it anymore. The jokes that happen do not make me laugh, and that's important because this is a comedy. And the stories, they're dull. And I mean it, they're actually dull. So there's no point to it. And I'm sorry, but for the record, I understand that sci-fi does mingle with horror, but we threw in Transformers as a horror episode? Really? Transformers? Since when was the Transformers a horror episode? Transformers was just a sci-fi action. It's not horror genre, and it never will be. But, one key thing is this show is way past its prime. It's over 30 years old. It's time to stop. And that's the truth. Because, you can't just keep a show going and going and going. It doesn't work. Oh, granted, we've seen some shows that have lasted for a long time. I mean, heck, Power Rangers lasted for 30 years. But then again, don't forget, folks, Power Rangers, well, for a while, we had the original cast, and they kept it going for about 5 years, and good for them. But the thing is, after a while, they changed it up to where it was, well, a little bit more like Super Sentai in a way. And what I mean by that is, instead of being stuck on Mighty Morphin, they changed it up to Zeo, to Turbo, Space, Wild Force, Jungle Fury, Dino Thunder. Different costumes, different cast members, different Zords, different everything. They didn't just stick with it. I mean, they kept it going for a while. Oh, hey, Kamen Rider. Just want to, right there. Good to see you. Oh, and Shamar gave me a little message here. Thanks for that. Oh, there she is. Hey, Bonnie. But the fact is, you just cannot go on the same playing field the whole time. Heck, even Power Rangers realized that, and so they went on with the Super Sentai approach of having different casts, different weapons, different everything every season. And even now, there's talk that they're going to do more with it, especially Hasbro wants to do their own thing. But anyway, so my point is, you can't just keep the same playing field like The Simpsons is. Thank you, Bonnie, for that. Sorry, folks, my nose is kind of itching like crazy. I don't know what the deal is. But yeah, the problem is, you can't just keep the same thing going. And The Simpsons, it really is the same thing in its own way. Granted, it's changed quite a bit because of the things that have been going on right now. I mean, one, like I said, they're rehashing old material, which is downright stupid and lazy, very lazy. And ever since Disney got a hold of them and Disney went all political on us, guess where they're going with it? Political. And, it makes me glad that I gave up on The Simpsons a long time ago because, I don't need this. I've had it with the political Hollywood junk. And, I know a lot of us do not want this stuff keeping crammed down our throats the way Disney's been doing it. And don't forget, they've also been spreading a few lies out there, too. Just watch that episode of The Proud Family, and you'll know what I'm talking about. Anyway, the thing is, they're getting all political on us, trying to cram all that down our throats because Disney's forcing them to do it. And that's the truth. 1 second. Well, we'll get off track for a second here just to answer this because I'm kind of thinking about that. I would say Mattel that was always a good one. Playmates, they're a little new to me. I mean, I've seen what they've been doing with the new Power Rangers toys, and you know what? I'm actually quite impressed with it. In fact, I have seen a few of them at Walmart, and I want to get my hands on that Blade Blaster. I'm not going to lie. Sorry, glitch. Hasbro, they were always good with their toys. Bandai, well, Bandai made Power Rangers, so totally. And there is one other group that I think you'd be best to remember here, Common Rider, and that would be Kenner Toys. Those are the guys who did the Star Wars toys back in the day, and they were fantastic. They're still very collectible to this day, and they're very well sought after. They're still around, and sadly, their heyday is far behind them, but, that was some great stuff. And, the Kenner versions of Star Wars, they are worth a pretty penny because they're still very memorable and collectible. Thank you. Yeah, you're right about that, Shamar. That's just what happened because, it really got worse, especially when things started to get all political on us. Because let's not forget, when that started happening, then all of a sudden, The Simpsons, they decided to strictly have black voice actors play black characters on both The Simpsons and on Family Guy. And to be honest, I am shocked that Family Guy actually went with this because this is Seth MacFarlane, Mr. Make Fun of Everybody, Mr. Use every dirty word in the language and every dirty scenario on television. And he actually went with it? It's shocking that he actually just conformed to the whole thing. Because usually he just does what he feels like. We've all seen Family Guy, folks. But anyway, my point is, when they did that, obviously they did that out of fear. They did not do it just because it was the right thing to do or whatever. They did it out of fear. And that's no way to run a company or a show or anything. I haven't seen those. I've heard the name Jada, but the others I haven't really seen those. So I'll have to keep my eyes peeled. Let's remember that. Let's see. What was I saying? Oh, yes. For like I said, this whole mess, it's pretty bad. Because again, I gave up because I got tired of the repeat scenarios because it was boring by that time. And I'm sorry, it needs to come to a close. Because you can only go so long with a show. And that's the truth. Just because you have the ability to push it any further doesn't mean you should. And that's a fact, folks. And look at it. I mean, it's political garbage now. It's been on way too long that it's past its prime. And younger, yeah, there was a lot of rumors going around back in the day, almost like every couple years or so, that supposedly The Simpsons was going to come to a close. And me and so many others were like, oh, no, please don't. But here's the difference. That was when The Simpsons were still good. At that time, they still had a good thing going. They still had great material, great writing, and great stuff going on. They were not a shadow of their former selves. They were not just piggybacking off of old material and all that stuff, or rehashing it or getting all political. Back then, they were still great. But now, they're way past it. They're nothing. And my friend, my friend Max Power did say it best earlier when he commented earlier talking about when I announced this was coming up. He said that, maybe the only thing to do is to, if you don't like it, don't watch it. And I will agree with that because that's what I've been doing. I haven't watched it since season 13. But, I've just been keeping tabs on what's been going on because what can I say with the media these days? They talk like crazy. You hear all kinds of things. And I'm sorry, but this has got to stop. Because, when you got that many people saying that it's past its prime, and it is, and when you're just rehashing old material, and even worse, you're getting into politics, shows should not be political for a reason, and they should not get into this thing. And for the record, I don't buy into that crap about them predicting the future either. I'm so sick of people bringing that up. Because I've talked about this before. I mean, that 9/11 thing, you ever heard of a thing called coincidence? And as for, Lady Gaga playing herself in that episode where she's flying above the Super Bowl, and she does it in real life a few years later, she played herself, for crying out loud. It probably gave her an idea. Hey, I'll do that, I mean, seriously. And again, the iWatch, let's see, Dick Tracy, back in 1931, predicted that. And, of course, the Power Rangers predicted that 5 years earlier. So, they didn't predict nothing. They just shouted an old prediction. That's all. But, the fact is, folks, it's got to go because I'm sorry. When a show has been on way too long, that it's boring and it's not interesting, and again, rehashing old material, and seriously, they're really going to expect Dan Castellaneta and Hank Azaria to stick around for that long? They're really expecting them to stick around for that long? And no, I do not mean... But by that, I do not mean that they're going to live that long. What I mean is, you really think they're going to stick around that long and not retire sooner or later? You really think that? I mean, sooner or later, one of the two and some others are probably going to retire. I mean, sooner or later, they're going to have to say to themselves, okay, I've had enough of this. I've done all I can with it. It was a great ride while it lasted. I had a lot of fun, but it's time for me to hang it up, Yeah, that is true. SpongeBob has been around way too long. So he's another one. And it's the truth. I mean, his stuff isn't funny anymore. And seriously, the Patrick Star Show, really? I still cannot believe they're serious about this. Of course, I can't believe Bubble Bass actually became popular later in years. I mean, he was practically a one-time character, and then all of a sudden, boom, he's all over the place. I don't know. Anyway. Yeah. Fact is, folks, The Simpsons has gone way past its prime. It's time to bring this to a close. and to try to keep going to like season 40 and who knows how much longer. I mean, waiting until the stars kick the bucket, that's not a good plan. And besides, we know what's going to happen in the end. They're probably going to say that, let's say, Dan Castellaneta died tomorrow, for the sake of argument, not for real. Let's say that happened. Guess what they probably do? They probably try to desperately look for someone who sounded just like him as Homer Simpson and try to keep it going. When they say that kind of talk that they're going to do this or that, they don't really mean it. And that's the truth. You know, you can't trust Hollywood to keep its word. That's a lie. And that's putting it mildly, to be honest. But yeah, fact is, you know, The Simpsons, they were great at one time. And I like looking up the old episodes whenever I can. But, you know, I don't go around watching the new ones because they're total crap. And I can't understand what people see in this. I really don't. It's like watching those stupid soap operas. What is the big deal now? Especially considering what's been going on lately, you know? I mean, I'm sorry, folks, but shows do come to an end, and that's a fact. And sooner or later, this is going to have to come to an end. Oh, yeah, I remember hearing about this. Yeah, something tells me that was a rebuttal to the Family Guy killing off Brian Griffin. And then, of course, they brought him back. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what happened there. It had to have been a rebuttal off of that. It must have been. And, you know, here's another prime example of The Simpsons going downhill. The legendary crossover, The Simpsons guy, where they did the crossover with Family Guy. Well, I could tell you this for a fact. That was really more of a Family Guy episode than it was a Simpsons episode. And one of these days, I should do a video on that talking about why that sucks in every which way. But not today. Anyway, the fact is, to put it bluntly, with the Simpsons guy, that was really a Family Guy episode. You could tell the writers were for Family Guy and not the Simpsons. Because everything, it was just all Family Guy material. The Simpsons were just shoehorned into it. And that's the truth. So, yeah, I mean, everything was dirty as Family Guy. Everything was nasty as Family Guy. Everything was vengeful as Family Guy. I'm going with Stewie on that one. The rest of it was just, you know, they just happened to be in Springfield and all that. So, yeah, cross over my eye. Yeah, that's just what happened. And that's one of the reasons why I say you cannot keep a show running for this long. You've got to know when to stop. And, you know, there are many shows that stopped on a good note or pretty close to it. I mean, there were quite a few shows that have stopped when they were still in their heyday because, you know, they knew it was time to stop. And sure, there are some that, let's get real, it probably was a bad idea. I mean, as I recall, Kim Possible, when that show was still in its heyday, well, Disney still had that rule of going for only 3 years, and I think they still do. But anyway, they ended it after 3 years, and boy, the fans were mad about that because the show was still way up there. In fact, they got so much flack for it that they had to bring it back. But my point is, you know, at least with them, at least back then, it made sense that, well, they were just trying to keep things fresh, and, you know, they had other great ideas going on as well, I'm sure. But, you know, and for this, no. Clearly, Disney's just going to keep milking it for all it's worth, just like, well, the writers and the creators of The Simpsons have been doing for years. I miss the days when people knew when to just say, enough, we're done, you know? And, you know, for me, I gave up on watching it, like I said, but it still continues. It would probably take more than just me, though, because, you know, I've talked about how with Disney getting all political, the only way to put an end to that permanently would be to get rid of all the channels that they own. Like on your TV and all that. Because if you got the Disney Channel, get rid of it. If you got Disney Plus, unsubscribe. Saves you a lot of money too, by the way. And let's see, if you got any other channels that are owned by Disney, like ABC or something like that, get rid of that too. Once again, save you money. And two, well, the ratings, that'll hurt them, because let's get real, folks. In this day and age, if you're subscribed to their stuff, you're still paying them. So even if you're not watching it, you're still paying it. 1 second. Yep. That's it. I mean, I love watching reruns, but this isn't reruns. This is just rehashing old material. Exactly. And that's exactly what I've been saying, comment writer. Thank you for that. Because, yeah, they can't do this forever. And let's get real. Can you really find someone who could really fill the shoes of Hank Azaria or Dan Castellaneta? Sure, you can find someone who may sound like Homer Simpson or Apu. Yes, I said Apu, because, I don't care what you idiots think about your stereotyping and your controversy. So anyway, yeah, you could find someone who could sound like them. Or, let's see who else. Groundskeeper Willie, Krusty the Clown, and all them. But can you really find actors who could really give that big flair that those two give off? One second. My friend Nicholas has joined in. Yep, you're right. It needs to come to a close. It's time to end this, folks. Come on. And yes, thank you guys. Thanks, Nicholas, by the way. Because, and yes, I know I've been repeating myself a good sum here because, it's the truth. I mean, what more is there to say? It's got to stop because it has gone far enough. Actors cannot go forever. And, the writers, they're nothing like they were back in the day. And that's no lie. They used to be great. Heck, they're probably just using AI right now to do it for. I mean, let's get real. They probably are. Oh, I don't know. I mean, probably a good couple 100,000 times, I would think. And that's only a guess for me. I mean, it could be more, it could be less, but I'm pretty sure he said "go" so many times that, he probably has a world record for the most times the catchphrase has been used. And I'm sure that's no lie. But on top of that, it's just time, folks. Come on. I mean, a show's got to come to a close sooner or later. Heck, Power Rangers, as we all knew it, came to a close. I hated to see it happen, but, sooner or later it was going to happen. And thanks for that. Not too many people could do the dough, and truth be told, I think I got lucky that time. I'm not going to lie. Let's see. Well, that would be nice because, I would love to see Fox be back to, being its own self, but I don't see that happening. You know how it is, Shamar. I mean, Disney, it's been said, when they got you in their grasp, there's no letting go. You sold your soul to them. That's what they say all the time, too. What's going on there? Sounds like fun. Okay. Let's see. I cannot think of anything else off the top of my head right now. So I guess that pretty much sums it up, folks. Oh, wait a minute. Well, that would be kind of nice to see a Simpsons and Futurama crossover. As for Family Guy, I don't know, because Well, technically, they already did a crossover with The Simpsons, and it was really more of a Family Guy episode. So I don't know. All three together, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it'll actually be a little less Family Guy. So might work. My friend. Oh, that's pretty cool. What do you mean? Uh, sorry. What do you mean, Kamen Rider? Because I'm not following you here. I'm gonna have to wait on this for a minute. I'm kind of curious. Do you mean like? Oh, are there any that I've lost respect for? Is that what you mean? Well, come to think of it, I don't think so. Because I still like the original cast members, and I'll admit I don't approve of some of the stuff that Austin did. But he like for instance when he was going to do that T-shirt thing. But you know what I'm talking about, because oh man, that was a disaster. He really shouldn't have done that. But you know what? He did stop while he was still ahead because he never gone through with it. Come to think of it, I think that whole thing fell through because of that controversy. Instead, he stopped right there, though. So, yeah, he did the right thing in the end. But, as for losing respect for any of the actors, well, I don't know, to be honest. I'm kind of at a loss on that one, to tell you the truth. But I don't recall losing any respect for any of them. But then again, there might be some out there. I'll have to get back to you on that one to be sure. Let's see. Bonnie's got something for me here. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, you gotta let it go. And that's the truth. You gotta let it go, folks. Oh, I'm positive they know. Why else would they be rehashing old stuff? Oh, no way. Oh, rock on, man. That is awesome. I'm glad to hear that. I met him twice. He is an awesome guy to meet. I'm not kidding. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I could see why. I see your point. Yeah. I could. Yeah. Yeah. Touche. Oh, you're going to meet her too? That's great. That is absolutely great. Again, she's great too. Seriously. And you know what? Her voice has not changed much at all. I'm not kidding. And that's extremely rare. And for the record, everybody, she's still beautiful. And, she hasn't changed much, to be honest. She is looking a little older, to be polite, but she's aged very gracefully. And that's a fact, folks. I really do mean that. I mean, I'll admit she doesn't look exactly like she did back in 93, but she still looks like herself, and she still even sounds a lot like herself. She's aged very gracefully. And, it was such a pleasure to meet her. It really was. Such an honor. I hope to run into her again one of these days. Hmm. You know, I could have sworn there was one episode where they made fun of how long they were on, or something like it. Come to think of it, in a way they did on the so-called crossover episode of The Simpsons guy. There was one scene where Stewie sees Bart get bullied by Nelson, and well, he's on the ground going, "Oh," because he got punched in the gut, and Stewie asks him, "How long has he been bullying you?" 30 years. So yeah, they did kind of actually call it out. So it's pretty good. And yes, so true. I said it once, and Nicholas said it for me again, because let's get real, we can all agree, she does. Wait a minute. Oh. I'm not too familiar with what he did exactly, but I'll have to get, but yeah. Well, maybe if there's anything, I will agree that with Jason David Frank, when he started to get that super mega ego back in the day when he was doing MMA, I think that kind of had, well, that did rub me the wrong way, because, you look up to your heroes, and then to see him start acting like that, especially having an issue with Jean-Claude Van Damme for no real clear reason. Yeah. So I got nothing for that. But anyway, he did get out of that, though. And, well, I try to remember that, these days, well, they're only human. I hate to use that old cliche term, but it is the truth. And one of these days, I think I'll talk more about that. But let's get back to the task at hand here. I've wondered about that myself, because everybody, actually, I'm not the only one. A lot of people have said that over the years. Yeah. Oh, that's what he did. Ooh. Oh, dear. Yeah. See what I mean? So, yeah, in a way, they did call that out. Oh, come to think of it, that reminds me. That season finale where Bart finally turns 11. And they were pretty much saying, like, well, they were hinting that this is it. I knew that was a lie when I heard about it. And big surprise, it turns out it really was a lie, just to get people to go like, oh no. And, or maybe finally. And then to find out, no, it's still going. So, yeah, that was a cheap trick. Right up there with Family Guy killing off Brian. Yeah, he is. Interesting. Good to know. But yeah, that's the truth. But fact is, folks, when a show's been on this long, it's time to stop. Because, they could have ended on a good high note. And now look at them. They're so far downhill. It's just sad. Oh, sure, there's still some fans out there who are still sticking with it. And, if you're one of them, hey, more power to you, I suppose. But, sooner or later, you got to throw in the towel, folks. It's time to just let this thing go. It's time to move on to other things. It's time to just look at this show and say, hasn't this gone far enough? Yeah, exactly. Oh, you did? Oh, I'll have to check that. I'll have to check that out later, Comrade. Thanks. Good to know, man. That's pretty cool. Yep. Yeah, unfortunately for me, folks, I'm a heck of a lot older than all of y'all. The Simpsons probably is older than me, to be honest, but actually, no, it isn't. I'm older than The Simpsons. But yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, folks, I love The Simpsons back in the 90s and the early 2000s. They were still good. But when season 13 rolled around, I was done, because they weren't funny anymore. And the Treehouse of Horror, they went through all the best horror pictures. Oh, and come to think of it, not too long ago, in fact, I think it was probably close to season 13 that they did this, where all of a sudden they don't show the Halloween episodes in October anymore. Instead, they wait till November, the first week in November. Why? I mean, it's Halloween. That makes no sense. It's stupid. I don't know if they reverted back or not, but that's that's one of those things where the damage is done. Oh, thanks. Oh, I'll bet I know which one. Yeah. Yeah, talking about their little feud. Yeah. Oh dear. Yeah. And even then, one of these days I might talk about that again because, well, we've certainly gotten some more information here and there. So, yeah. And you know what? That was a moment. Come to think of it, yeah, that was another moment where I lost respect for Jason or Frank because he kept ragging on Austin like that, you know? Because, once again, you want your heroes to be, well, what they were on the show heroes, great guys, and all that. But it was like, seriously, man, give it a rest. And at the same time, the sad thing is, Austin, he never did have anything bad to say about Jason at all. Yeah, I know. I know, man. Well, it's one thing to talk about him, but, I don't know. I can't understand why people are still bringing up the feud after all this time. It's time to just move on, guys. So, yeah. The only I mean, I might talk about it in a little ways, talk about what happened during that time, but that's about it. I mean, I don't rag on it like everybody else does. And, the way people were ragging on it was just downright stupid, especially after Jason said it was over, for crying out loud. But anyway, I think I'm just going to wrap this up now because I think we pretty much said all that we need to say about this. The fact is, The Simpsons, they've been on way too long. They're way past their prime. They're not funny anymore. The magic is gone. And you cannot keep a series going until the actors die off. And I'm sorry, that's no way to handle things. You got to know when to stop. You could try to come up with a great finisher, and I think they still could come up with a great finisher. But the fact is, they need to just stop. It's gone far enough. I'm going to wait on that for a minute because yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I mean, I remember when things were golden. They had some great celebrity guest stars. Oh, that. Well, I'm probably never going to talk about this again, so I'm going to throw that in anyway. I think people overreacted big time. Because you know what? I'm not going to lie. That shouldn't have happened. And that was a horrible tragedy. But to hear the media talk at that time, they talked as if he just came on the set with a loaded machine gun and mowed everybody down. And that's not true at all. People were saying that he should go to jail, that he should be held fully responsible. When let's not forget one thing. Who is responsible for props? The property master or the prop master. That is the truth. They are the ones in charge, not him. He was just given the gun to use. I mean, usually the prop master loads the gun. And as I recall, no witnesses claimed that Alec Baldwin did it himself or they changed bullets on him. And again, to hear them talk, they talked like he came out there with a machine gun killing everybody on the set. And that's not true. Stupid media. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. You know, and I think that's going to be the final word in this because, Bonnie, you just summed it up. That is exactly what needs to happen. It needs to stop. It's time to let it go, folks. Okay, Kamen Rider, I'm probably never going to talk about this either, so one more go. The Will Smith slap, well, one, I thought that was disgraceful because, really? And two, I'm not sure if he should have, been forced to get rid of the Oscar. I know a lot of people were saying that, but, this had never happened before, so I don't know. All I know is he should have been escorted out for that, and that's a safe bet, especially when he said those words. Oh, boy. I've heard him say damn and hell and the S word on there before, but I've never heard him say the F word. Heck, he never said it in any of his rap albums. So, yeah. Anyway, heck, he's never said in any of his movies that I'm aware of. But, yeah, fact is, he should have been thrown out, and I'm sorry. I think he got a slap on the wrist for that. I really do. And for the record, his wife, oh my God, she is so full of it. And I remember that interview. She talked about it and to what's her face from the Today Show. And she was saying, oh, people they're blaming me and it's not my fault. Just because I looked at him sideways, please, we all saw that look. She was looking at him like, really? You're laughing at this? What are you going to do about it? That's exactly that look she gave him. And that's the truth. She gave him a look like, you better not be laughing at this, and that's the truth. And that's what did it. And for the record, what's her face from the Today Show? You could see it written all over her face. She is trying not to say like, oh, yeah, right, you stupid bee. You're lying up a storm. You can see insincerity all her face. She is not trying. She's just trying so hard not to say that. I mean, she's trying so hard not to say, oh, yeah, who do you think you're fooling? We all saw you, But, being a reporter, she can't. So, yeah. But you can see it written all over her face. And that's the truth. But once again, folks, I'm seriously going to have to wrap this up because we're just running around in circles on this subject now because we covered it all. Instead, I'll just do this one more time. Yep. And that's the truth. It's time to stop. Because when you're past your prime, when you literally have no material and you're just rehashing old material, it's time to stop. So let's just end it on that good note. So once again, I want to thank everybody for being here. I don't know why you're bringing that up, Kamen Rider, but you know what? I go for all of them, especially redheads. Anyway, maybe I'll do a personal interview one of these days. That'd be kind of nice. Once I end this, if you want me to do that, just leave a comment below. I would love to. I've been considering that for a while now. So, but yeah. Thanks, Nicholas. So, I want to wish everyone a good night. And for everybody who's here, thanks for coming by. Oh, thanks, Bonnie. I'm glad to have you here. And I'm glad you enjoyed it. Well, until then, folks, this is Movie Fan signing off. Oh, yeah, I think I'll do that. But that'll be for the day. And sooner or later, I'll do that. Hey, I might even do a live stream. That'd be kind of nice. So, but yeah. So, later. See you, Shamar. And, thanks once again for everybody. Thanks. And until then, this is Movie Fan signing off. And for The Simpsons, it's time to go. Bye.